Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. She is hilarious as Lana Kane on FXX's Archer, but what you may not know about Aisha Tyler is that she is also a very good director, having done a few episodes of TV and now an ambitious feature that takes place entirely in a car. Axis tells the story of an actor on his way to begin shooting a Hollywood blockbuster only to be beaten down by his past. Let's take a look at the trailer.
I can't come home, Dad. I have to work over here all summer.
But can't you take holidays?
It's not that simple.
Yes, but you're working all the time. You just take your entitled days. It's a law.
With my job, it's different. Look, I'll come home when I can, but for once, I would really love for you to just come out here. I beg you, Dad.
I can't. Enough of that talk for now. Right, I have to go and feed the cows. I'll talk to you later. You just come home whenever you're ready. All right, there's no panic.
Dad, you don't have to feed the cows.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. Look, I'll talk to you later. Take care of yourself, please.
Well, sure, I always do.
I know that.
All right, goodbye now, Tristan. Bye.
I love you.
Everybody, please welcome Aisha Tyler.
Hi.
Hey, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You directed a movie. Congratulations.
Thank you.
First and foremost, you directed a movie.
Directed an entire movie.
It's not a small feat.
No,
it's
isn't.
It's a big accomplishment.
It is.
And you didn't direct an easy one.
No, I picked a really tough first film. Yeah, and I think it's actually really fun because, you know, I don't know, maybe people look at you, you think, oh, African-American female director. The first film that comes to mind is in a movie about an expatriate Irish drug addict living in Los Angeles trying to put his relationships back together. But I wanted to pick a movie that didn't feel, I don't know, obvious or stereotypical. I wanted to do a movie that was really challenging for me and hopefully challenging for the audience as well.
Is it a movie that you can feel slightly, I don't want to say emotionally detached from as a director, but you can really focus on the story points and the beats and not feel, like all the things that you just said, were those things that didn't connect you to it?
No,
in some way?
I think the point of this whole movie is that there are human stories that we can all relate to,
right.
and there are universal human emotions and universal human experiences. I mean, this is a guy, the lead character Tristan Black, played by Emmett Hughes, who, you know, he's this young actor. He's had a lot of success. There are probably people out there in the real world you could think of that might resemble this guy. He's made a lot of money and he's made a lot of bad choices, which we've all made in our, in our youths, and some of us continue to make them now. And he's trying to be a better person, and we all can relate to that. You know, you're not a bad person. Maybe you've done some bad stuff, and you're trying to turn your life around. And that stuff is just, it felt really resonant to me. And also, what I love about it is LA looks really fabulous, you know, oh, parties and cars and nails and everybody's lips are inflated to the size of car tires. And it can be a really lonely place. And everybody—
Your entire life can exist
inside
your
a car. I mean,
yeah.
I relate to this part of his life so specifically, being in your car for 2 hours on the phone, listening to music, trying to kind of amuse yourself, not be bored, and trying to feel connected to things, because everybody in LA comes there with a dream, and a lot of times their fantasy about LA is not what, you know, it really turns out to feel like and to be like. And so this guy who's just trying to be a good guy, but he's done some bad stuff, I found completely relatable.
What I actually love about the performance, and I hope this isn't in contradiction to what you just said about him being a good guy, is after, you know, the first act where we see him at his worst and he's supposed to be at his best, he's still not that great of a guy.
No, he's not like a super likable person.
Which I really love that depiction. I feel like most movies or most shows would try to be like, okay, now that he's clean, he's the best guy ever. And it's like, no, he's still a damaged person with a lot of problems.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the Emmett Hughes, who's the lead actor, he also wrote the script, and it was really important to us to not make this guy a perfect person. I think what I love is there were a lot of people said I really hated him at the beginning of the movie, and then I was so angry at you, Aisha, because I loved him by the end. I'm like, yeah, because I did my job, because people are not perfect. I'm not going to manipulate you into loving somebody. You need to love him because he's human, not because he's perfect. None of us are perfect. He's just trying to do good. He's just trying to do a little bit of good in the world, but he's not like he did like he rescued a puppy and that turned him around. You know, he's just
but I mean, I think the screenwriting term or the cliche is like save the cat, you know?
Right,
and
exactly.
There is the moment near the end of the film, without giving anything away, where he saves the cat. It's just, and it's not like he doesn't actually save anybody, but he just turns a little bit and suddenly becomes relatable.
To be a little bit more human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's also, addicts addicts are liars, and they lie to each other, and they lie to themselves, and they manipulate their relationships, and they don't care because they're in the throes of addiction. And this is a guy who really had a hard time getting sober. What's been incredible is having people who have struggled with addiction come to the film, because I have people in my life who are addicts, but I've never had an intense problem with addiction. And for them to come and say, this felt so real to me, this felt so authentic to me, thank you for telling a story that makes addicts just look human. We're not terrible people, we're not perfect. I had one guy actually walk out of the movie, he goes, this was so real, I had to get up and walk out for a little while, like it was too emotional for me. So I was really pleased with that.
And we're not terrible people that are terrible when we're addicts and then perfect when we're sober.
Exactly.
We're still kind of floating, and that's the whole part of recovery, is that you can always kind of dip in and out, like not that you can, but there's the possibility, there's the chance. Yeah.
Also, in the beginning of the movie, I think you see that he's also a fun-time Bobby. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a guy who has, the thing about addicts is when they can be really fun to be around. When they're not at rock bottom, they're a delight. They're funny.
Impulsive.
They're a good time. They're those guys that have that kind of manic personality. When they're up, they are so fun to be around, and when they're down, you can't wait to get away from him. He's got this kind of delightful darkness.
So what made you want to have your first movie be one that takes entirely inside of a car?
Right.
And did that seem to you like a fun challenge, a scary challenge, or something that was just like, well, won't cost that much money?
All of the above. Yes is my answer. I went to Ireland in 2014 to shadow. I was like training to direct, and so I was shadowing on a couple of shows. I went over to hang out at Penny Dreadful and another show called Vikings. And while I was in Dublin, I met a bunch of artists and actors, and I met Emmett Hughes over there. He's a writer actor, and I met another guy who is Dean Ward, who is a writer composer, and the two of them wanted to make a film together. So we did a short film together in Ireland at the end of 2014. There was kind of a music-driven short film, and it was just a great experience. And then Emmett's like, I've got this feature script, you want to read it? And I was looking for my first film, and I didn't know what it was going to be yet. And it was just a perfect first film because it was both small, contained, kind of easy to plan and make because it's essentially one location, but it had all these challenges. How do you make a movie with one guy on screen compelling? It was written at night originally, and the first thing I did was change it to daytime because I felt like, well, I'll have this one set, which is this car, and then I'll have this bigger, beautiful set, which is all of Los Angeles. I'm gonna get a lot of bang for my buck, but it made it a lot harder to shoot because we had to he had to say exactly the same thing at exactly the same time of day in exactly the same location every single day for 7 days, so that when we cut it together, it would all match. And that was an incredibly difficult feat.
You have multiple cameras in the car that you're shooting? Like how many?
3 cameras a day, and we'd shoot the whole movie all the way through, 65 pages. We shot
every day?
Oh, every day. So we shot the first act on day 1. We shot 17 pages on day 1, and then day 2, it was insanity. It was insanity. And then day 2 through 7, 65 pages a day. So he would do essentially the entire second and third act all the way through, 3 camera angles, and then we would de-rig the car. Next morning, re-rig the car from different angles, movie all the way through, and we moved all the way around him. On day 7, we were behind him doing some free driving and free camera work. Yeah, so it was crazy aggressive.
How were you on day 1? I mean, I get the logistics of the rest of the days.
Yeah.
Where you're 3 cameras, you're driving, you're doing the whole. That makes sense. I mean, it's really hard, and congratulations. But the first day to me, that's the one that sounds like really shocking and impossible. 17 pages, your first film. How were you? How did you feel? How did you handle it all?
So people who know me personally, or maybe people who have been a fan of mine for a while, maybe they listen to my podcast or they know me from some of the stuff where I'm just being me, like Talk Soup, know that I'm insane. So, and I don't mean I love work. I'm work addicted. So I love being on set. I have, sadly for the people in my life, essentially like a bottomless pit of energy. I'm just running around like a crazy person. So the first day I was insanely nervous. We had this location for one day. We got there at 3:30 in the morning because we wanted to get sunrise. But when the sun came up, it was cloudy, so we don't really have sunrise on that first day. And then all the stuff in the first act we shot on that first day. And we had a crane, and we had all these really complicated shots. We were on a helicopter pad. So we're at a helipad in downtown LA. People know this location because when you're on it, you can see Dodger Stadium. You've seen it in a million car commercials. and we're up there, and it's a helipad. So all day as we're shooting, helicopters keep dipping down to see what's going on this helipad, and they would buzz us, and they'd lean over, and then they'd give us the finger out of the side of the helicopter. I mean, they were just boning us all day long. And so it took us forever. We get to the end of the day, and we're just so
even
aggressive.
Even if that wasn't happening, it's
it was
17
still fast.
pages,
It was
and that's
still
gonna take
fast.
forever.
We get to the end of the work, and there's this really complex 360 shot that we have that starts the beginning of Act 2. And we have this head, it's rigged, and it keeps moving and falling over when the car's turning around. And the location manager comes over, is like, you guys have to go. And my second AD goes over and goes, we need this last shot, please let us stay. They say no. First AD goes over, please, we don't have any more time or money, let us get this shot. They say no. Producers all go over, they say no. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna beg. And I go over and I go, look, guys, I need you to know something. This is an independent film. I raised the money on Kickstarter. It's my movie. There's no studio for me to go to ask for more money. There's nobody that I can ask for more time. If we don't get this shot today, we don't have a film. And the guy's like, I don't know. And I was like, listen, I'm standing up and I go, listen, I'm gonna beg you now. And I started to go down like this. He goes, oh, no. You can stay. So they let us stay another 45 minutes so we could get that last shot.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was just, look, making a film, unless you're Michael Bay or Steven Spielberg, is just constant begging and wheedling and cajoling and sprinting. But I love it. So it was just exhilarating. I mean, I just never been
Well, it's what you need to make a film. I think even if you are Michael Bay or Steven Spielberg, you still need a bit of
and
that
Michael Bay
soul.
pays people to have a soul. He doesn't. He buys a soul every morning and bring me my soul, young buck. Yeah, he doesn't bring it to work for them. He has them brought in from, I don't know, where do they make souls? China?
Yeah, I think that's where they make the souls for him, yeah.
Lots of bags of souls from China, super cheap.
Soul bags.
Oh God, guys, when we go into this trade war with China, no more cheap souls for Michael Bay.
I don't know what's gonna happen to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 then. It's gonna be
It's gonna be so expensive.
So on a day like that, your first day directing a movie, all this stuff is going on. Are you able to kind of keep a light? Everyone talks about trying to keep a set light and fun.
Yeah.
Did you even consider that, or were you like, no, get the shit done?
You know, I will say, so when I was younger, I spent a season on the CSI, the original CSI. I played a lab tech on CSI, and the very last episode of my season there.
Who was the star of that CSI?
So that would have been the original one, Mark Helgenberger and Bill. I can't think of Bill's last name.
Peterson, right?
Bill
William
Peterson.
Peterson,
Yeah. So the original CSI. Gary Jordan, all the original Georgia Fox, and the very last episode of my season, Quentin Tarantino directed. And it was super exciting because I was doing a procedural show for CBS, and all of a sudden Quentin Tarantino was directing an episode of CSI, and it was amazing. And they didn't give me enough lines. Whatever, I was cool. As far as just hang around, lurking, staring at him. But I remember watching him work, and he is such an enthusiast. He loves making movies. He loves directing, and that was the energy that I wanted to bring to set. Not everybody get shit done or I'm gonna explode. It was just guys, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Right.
I mean, I was lifting stuff, moving stuff, carrying stuff. It was really about being a part of the team. I don't believe in dictatorial directing. I think you assemble a team of great Avengers, and then you let them exercise their superpowers. And so I was, there was never any yelling or panic. It was just we got to keep moving. And is everybody cool? Do you have what you need? How can I help you? And
right.
And
still, it's a different machine when it's a CSI set versus.
Yeah, because there's
you're begging the location.
3,000 people on a CSI set, and we had 11 people making our movie. So everybody pitches in, and everybody does what they can. And so many things went wrong on this movie, but you can't, you just can't prepare for every contingency. We ran out of light one night, and it was a critical shot. It's one of the biggest, it's the abuse scene. It's a pivotal moment, and it's where he saves the cat, that scene. And so there's not a cat in the movie, guys, by the way. This is a metaphor. But
do people know what saves the cat means? It's a thing.
It's like the turn. It's like the turn in a movie that makes you care about a character. It's like the redemption moment in a movie, right? Especially if they're an unlikable character.
Exactly.
It's the moment where you see their humanity. So that moment, we lost the light on that day, and we didn't have that location again the next day. So we got up at 4 in the morning, and it was just me, the director of photography, my production designer, and the actor. We didn't even shoot it with sound, and we went back and shot it the next day. We shot sunrise for sunset. And we didn't even really have a permit. We were just there so early that, you know, nobody really knew what was going on. But you just have to be aggressive. You know, there's no other excuse. And your aggression, you can't be a dick because you're not paying people any money. You can't ask people to work for free and then also be a dick.
That is the hard part I find with filmmaking like this, which is that you have to be aggressive. You have to be exacting, and you have to be really fast. But you also have to be good and nice.
You have to be good at what you do and an artist and nice to everybody. I mean, I showed up.
You have to be aggressive and not
aggressive,
which it's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to take those two things away from each other.
But that's good managerial style in any job, isn't it? Like, how do you manage people, get them to do what you need them to do, and not be a dick? And one of my strategies was just to essentially either overtly or covertly say, I believe in you. Like, I see what you're capable of. I'm going to unleash you to do your best work here, rather than, that's not good enough for me. But I'm like, I know what you can do. I see what you can do. And I want you to do your best work here. I also brought so many donuts to work every day, just bags and bags of donuts. I was just bribing people constantly with everything I could do. I fed them as well as I could. You know, we didn't have a location. We were on a truck driving through LA, so we'd essentially pull over by the side of the road every day to eat lunch. And we did that. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Die Hard, but we ate quite a few times on the lawn at Nakatomi Plaza, which is a real building. It's not called Nakatomi Plaza, it's the Fox Tower, but we ate there every day just sitting on the grass. And I just bought people ice creams and just told them, like, don't crush my dreams, guys. I'm gonna die if this movie doesn't get made.
And now, you know, I hate to bring up another thing that it was in terms of like not going right for you, because the movie's great. You did a great job, and you really can't tell that, you know, these things.
Yeah, no, that's the goal,
went
is that
wrong.
you don't look that it was that, you know, we have it taped together with Band-Aids.
But apparently you edited the movie.
I edited the film, yeah. I mean, look, art is like a gargantuan undertaking. Making a movie is very difficult. If I had made the movie for $20 million or $200 million, in the end, the buck stops with the director. Period. Like, there's nobody else who's going to take responsibility for a film in the end but you. Halfway through the editing process, I realized that the editor I had wasn't connecting with the material, just didn't understand the movie, and we parted ways. But it was a tiny movie. I didn't have another editor, so I learned Avid. I started cutting my own movie. I found another editor to come in. We tandem cut the movie together, and then he went away to do a movie because, you know, that paid real money, and I stayed and I finished my movie by myself. And
So can I ask, this is your first time? Well, you've made some shorts before.
I've made 7 short films, yeah.
7. So maybe then you're used to this, getting your rough cut and seeing the first cut.
Yeah. Oh,
was
totally.
Was that with your other editor, or was
no? We
that
never
on
even
your
got.
own?
I never even got an assembly with him.
So how did you feel when you saw your first cut?
I didn't hate it, and my new editor was like, if you don't hate your movie on the first edit, that you're in really great shape. I didn't hate it. But what you think mostly, and you guys maybe have had this experience with other things you've done, I don't know, whatever your hobbies are, whatever you love, if you're trying to write a book, or you're trying to cook a meal, or you're trying to learn Kung Fu, or whatever, there's just a party that's like, this is never gonna work. I'm never gonna be a Kung Fu master. This cake is gonna look like crap. And then at some point, and so in my mind, I was like, this is never gonna be a movie, this is never gonna be a movie. And then I just kept working at it until it was a movie. And then there was just a moment where I was like, oh, like, that's it. And I think I talk a lot about this because, you know, I think people look at Hollywood as a magical thing. Everybody's perfect and everybody.
Poof, a movie.
Yeah, exactly. Poof, a movie. Poof, my booty's. No, they paid for that booty, you guys. That booty, they bought that booty on the internet. And then when it started to get smaller, they bought it again. But it's just work. It's just work, and it's persistence. You know what I mean? And I always say that success isn't the absence of failure, it's persistence through failure. Because at some point you're gonna hit a wall where it feels like things aren't gonna work. And the only way you get to the other side is by continuing on. So yeah, there was a point where I was like, oh my God, this is never gonna be a film. And then I just kept working on it until it was. And what is exciting about this movie for me is it's a really arty movie, but it's also a thriller. It's gripping, it's emotional, and
It's a taut script.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's tight and it's lean, and we have amazing Sam Rockwell. He was just Sam Rockwell when I hired him. Now he's Oscar winner Sam Rockwell. And people in me from Criminal Minds, Thomas Gibson, Kirsten Banks, Paget Brewster, Adam Rodriguez are in the movie. Lucky Yates and Amber Nash from Archer in the movie. I just had all my friends work for free, essentially. Kieran Hines from a million things, including Game of Thrones. I got really great actors. So I had good things to start with.
Was that because were you able to just kind of call them and be like,
Dude,
will you be my
begging,
movie?
yo, straight
and then they're like,
begging.
sure, I'll do it. And you're like, okay, go ahead, I'm recording.
Straight begging the entire time. Almost everybody came in and recorded in studio so that they could be across from Emmett and they could kind of get a pattern together with him. And we recorded it ahead of time and then played it and then just cut it into the movie. We had a reader with him in the car. Wow. Sam Rockwell was on the set of 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. In his trailer, we recorded his part over the phone, and Ciarán Hinds was here on Broadway doing The Crucible with Saoirse Ronan, and we did his role over the phone as well. I took everything that I could get, you know, and when you're doing independent film, you just have to be a gorilla, you know, just like run and gun. But
props to you. That's so awesome.
Oh,
That's so great.
Thank you. Just make your stuff is the moral of this story. Just make your stuff and be uncompromising. Like, this is probably the last time I'll get to make something this personal, this arty and unusual, you know. Hopefully I'll make a big old studio movie after this. But so I really just wanted to enjoy the whole process, which I got to do. You know, it was really cool. Yeah.
Let's talk about Archer a little bit.
Let's do it.
Because we have you here, and Archer's fantastic.
Thank
it's one of the great animated shows I think we've ever had. Let's take a quick look at Archer and then talk about it.
Her Royal Highness, Princess Lanalua Kalani.
Latoy te Iloa.
Votre Altesse.
Ah, Capitaine Renaud. Et pourquoi me parles-tu en français?
Parce que la langue officielle du Mitimotu est français.
Oui, en ce moment-ci. Now, can someone please explain to me why Mr. Fox and I aren't sipping champagne in the plane I chartered?
Well...
For one thing, we don't do that.
And secondly, fucks?
Yeah?
But we could, and we're happy to, Your Highness. Or even, I bet we could even mix you up some Bellinis. We have fresh peaches?
No.
Then shut up. The point is, Your Highness, my plane is your plane.
There you go.
I love Archer so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys have been at this show now for what, 8?
This is season 9 coming up.
Season 9.
Island. Yeah,
That's
totally.
wild.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
I remember, because I love this show so much, like it's just vividly in my head reading the pilot script for this show and being like, this is never getting on television. Yeah. Like, too funny, too smart, too literate,
crazy,
too
weird.
Crazy, too filthy. Yeah. Never gonna make it on TV. So the fact that, you know, it's season 9 is just, it's the best. It's so great.
And what you guys don't ever really get into the studio and record together, right? It's all separate.
Yeah, we're never together. So John Benjamin and Jessica Walter are here in New York. Me and Chris Parnell and Judy Greer are in LA, and then Lucky Yates and Adam Reed and Amber Nash are in Atlanta. So we're never together as a cast. Yeah, they make the show in Atlanta. They animate it there. So we see each other at San Diego, New York Comic Con. That's
gotta kind of suck a little bit though, because the show, one of the things that works so well is that there is still a feeling of like, all these people are having a great time
Totally,
together.
like a collective kind of camaraderie. We've actually never recorded one episode of the show together, ever. And so mostly it's a testament to the editing.
Everyone get along when you meet each other?
Everyone
though?
is so into each other.
Okay.
Like, so one year we did an Archer Live where we just went around reading scripts, like live, and we just have audience members come and they'd all dress up like the characters. And it was just this like drunk, like basket of puppies backstage because we just never got to hang out. So we would just drink whiskey and then we'd go out on stage and we would just curse a lot and throw stuff at people. We had a t-shirt cannon and we would give, if you came up on stage and you were willing to let us shoot you in the crotch with the t-shirt cannon, we'd give you like a bag of prizes. So we'd just shoot all these guys in the genitals on stage, just drinking Maker's Mark out of the bottle and shooting people in the dick. Yeah, that's essentially who we are as a cast.
What is it like having 9 seasons of Archer behind you at this point, though? I mean, it seems like it can kind of, like, after 9 seasons of an animated show, you're starting to move into South Park Simpsons territory where you could just keep going.
Well, it's interesting. I would love the show to go for 20 years, but I think you bring up an interesting conundrum. Most shows maybe start to feel patterned or repetitive. It's 9 seasons, you know. Why the show is the way that it is because of that exact kind of potential trap. If people know the show, you know that for the first 4 years we were spies. In the 5th year we were disavowed and we became cocaine dealers. We ran a banana republic. I had a baby. My character had a baby in an airport. We came back and we tried to kind of work our way back in from the cold. Then we became Private Eyes. Then we were in 1920s Los Angeles. And now we're on an island. And that is really so that Adam Reed, who writes each and every every episode of the show, we don't have a team of writers or a writer's room. It's just one guy, so that he doesn't die of boredom. Like, he's amusing himself. But what you always get is the same collection of, you know, crazy characters. Their same kind of dysfunctional relationships. Their same abuse of alcohol and casual sex. Their same poor decisions, but just in a different context. This is like a true adventure this season, with like a talking parrot and like killer monkeys and a treasure, and obviously Lana looks as dope as ever. I mean, just rocking this sarong thing. I need to get this outfit in my actual life. And very practical shoes for once. For once, she's not in that ridiculous sweater dress. I don't miss that sweater dress, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm like, how are you running around with like Tech 9s and you got that like itchy Angora mini skirt on? You can't hide a gun up that skirt.
Bring that up to the creator
Every
of the
day,
show.
every day. Yeah, totally. I was like, this is a really impractical outfit. Come on, man. I mean, also those boobs. Can we tone them down just one cup?
It's animated.
Yeah, exactly. They just got bigger and bigger. Eventually, she just fell over like a turtle and teeter-tottered, just like stuck on the ground. So it's a great season. Yeah.
And now you're also talking about a health initiative that you're working on right now. What is that? Tell me about that.
I'm working. So, you know, people who know me from the talk know that, you know, and I'm not on the talk anymore, but a big part of my life has been about empowering women to take care of their bodies, to take care of their health. I think generally, and probably we're all like this, but women especially are always kind of putting other people first. And so I'm partnering with Hologic, which is a women's healthcare company. They really focus on healthcare innovations for women to talk about women who are suffering from hardcore cycles, from heavy periods. And I know it's a little bit of a taboo subject, but
shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, because it's just a body function like peeing or sleeping or pooping or whatever it is you got going on. It happens to women every month, and we all hate it. Everybody hates their period. I mean, nobody's like stoked for their period to show up. You know, like, I can't wait to feel like crap for a week and not be able to have sex. But for some women, it is completely debilitating. I've interviewed a lot of women who have this condition called abnormal uterine bleeding, and one woman I met, her period came every 2 weeks and lasted for 2 weeks. Dude, everybody in this room would be dead right now if that was me. Just so much blood, and just no, you can't wear your cute outfits, you can't go out, and so.
Can I ask a male question?
You can.
When
no, men do not get periods. In case you're wondering.
When it's that heavy and that debilitating, is it then okay for a man to go, is this because of your period?
Never. It's never okay to ask that question.
Damn it.
Never okay for that question.
When can I do
Never. You can never ask that
that?
question. Never. That is like the legitimately top of the taboo list. But thank you for clarifying for all the dudes out there.
Making sure, like, you know,
I know.
if it was that.
Just bring me booze and shut up. That's what you can do. So I think the problem is women don't really talk about. Sometimes we're like, I'm on my period. We never talk about what our period's like. So for women who have abnormal periods, they don't know. They might not know that their periods are abnormal. And I think it's really important to talk about this stuff, because there are treatments that you can get so that you don't suffer for the rest of your life with this debilitating condition where you can't go out and you can't enjoy your life, you can't take care of your kids. Sometimes women can't go to work. There are women who get migraines, they get nauseous. So there is a website you can go to. It's called WeHateHeavyPeriods.com. In case you were wondering, there's no subtlety or nuance there. WeHateHeavyPeriods.com. We can learn whether your period's abnormal and what you can do about it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you can learn about it. And I think really this is a part of a larger discussion of women empowering themselves to learn about their bodies, to be their healthiest selves, and to not suffer in silence. I think we tend to just keep this stuff to ourselves because we're embarrassed about it, or we're shy about it, and we're afraid to ask our doctors about it, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, living your best life means taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, and getting answers, and hopefully taking steps towards improving your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's get some questions from our audience. What do we got here? Right here.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm so excited, and your outfit's super cute.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so excited to finally meet you. You've been like my idol for like a really long time.
Oh my God.
It's weird because a lot of people compare me. They're like, yeah, if you like went up there in life, like you would be a lot like Aisha Tyler.
Oh, that's so nice.
I know, right?
Oh my God, tell them I said thank you.
Okay. So my question was, I'm kind of in film school right now where we're in the transition of directing and writing our short films, but the ideas eventually go on to a feature. And
Great.
I've been really excited listening to this conversation of how you not only directed, produced, but also edited your own film. And so I really want to know for you, what are the strategies for making an effective like directorial like move from shorts to features, as well as producing it?
That's great. Well, you're really lucky because you're in film school. So you have the benefit of like all kinds of resources and people who know a lot about filmmaking. I think that's amazing. I didn't go to film school. I learned on set, essentially. So effective strategies for making the transition. I mean, God, that's a really good question. I think it is really, in the end, when you're a feature director, you won't have to know how to do everything, but it is good to know how to do everything, because I think you need to be aware of all the moving parts on your film and understand when things are being done well and when they're being done poorly. And it may end up that some part of that job is going to fall to you, and you don't want to be, you know, in a quandary or in some kind of panic about how do I make this happen. I knew a little bit about nonlinear editing before I edited my movie, but I didn't know Avid, and I legitimately, and I'm not lying, learned it on YouTube. I'm not bumping around. I went on YouTube for a weekend and just watched videos, and then every time I got stuck, I looked, how do I do this? And I looked it up.
There's so much about filmmaking you can learn on YouTube.
Yeah, just straight YouTube, like YouTube Film School. But what I will say is this: make everything that you can make. Like we all have a dream of making a feature, and I had it too. I've had it for a decade, but I made a bunch of stuff first just to feel confident about my filmmaking sensibility, not just my tactical skills, but also my sense of my voice, of what kind of filmmaker I wanted to be. And you can do that on a short. You can just do a short, be like, I love how this turned out, or this wasn't exactly what I wanted, and I'll do these things differently. Some of the shorts I made, I called friends who were in bands, and I said, hey, if you let me come on tour with you for a couple days, I'll make you a free music video. There's a free piece of fan art. And you'll like it or you won't like it. Maybe I'll like it and maybe I won't like it, but it was free, so don't come at me. You know what I mean? And I did 3 of those. And so I just think, like, make the short film in film school. Did you see the movie Tangerine? Oh, I love you so much. So for people who don't know, Tangerine was a film that came out a couple of years ago about trans women working, sex workers in Los Angeles. They made that movie on 3 iPhones. You can do anything you want, and you shouldn't be hampered by, like, this looks like a movie, this doesn't look like a movie. Make lots of stuff, because you'll just build this body of work that will make you really, really confident as a filmmaker when you step into your first feature. And I'm super excited to see what you do.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for asking that great question.
Next question, right here.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was wondering, to go off on directing your first feature, if you would have the chance to do it again, would you be like to expand on it more, where there's more locations, more characters?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I have 2 answers. The first answer is I already have the next one written and scheduled for November of this year. So it's going to be a horror film, which I really love horror, and but I'm not like a big slasher and chop 'em up person. I think great horror, and I think a perfect example obviously is Get Out, and now why can't I think of this movie that's out right now? Quiet Place. Thank you. I was going to call it Don't Breathe. Although Don't Breathe is a great movie though.
Don't Breathe rules.
Don't breathe rules. Legitimately, Don't Breathe rules. I'm going to make that.
And it's a great horror movie that also did well at the box office that has been kind of forgotten in the wake of all of these other, like, it should
beautifully done.
Yeah.
Great horror has something to say. Like, the thing about Don't Breathe was you kind of thought it was this straight kind of kids prey on a vulnerable person story, but it ends up that the vulnerable person was the most powerful person in the movie. Obviously, Get Out had 1,000 things to say about sociology, culture, race, identity. It was such a brilliant movie. And so I want to do horror that has like a thoughtful, kind of meaningful core. So I'm doing a movie that I'll talk more about when we're closer, that is both scary, but has a lot to say about, like, religion and culture and our sense of self. But I keep telling my team that I want to make 3 single location films. This next one won't be a single location film, but does anybody know the director Chan-wook Park? So he did a thing called the Vengeance Trilogy. It's Mr. Vengeance, Sympathy, Lady Vengeance, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, and Old Boy. Yeah. It's 3 Vengeance movies. So I want to make 3 single location movies. It's going to be called the Containment Trilogy. So yes, when I'm old and I'm back on your show, we're doing a retrospective, I'll be able to talk about those 3 films, because what's cool about a single location movie is you can't trick anybody with, like, pretty pictures and stuff going on and characters coming in it just has to be very focused and lean. So I'll definitely do a single location film again, but the next one's gonna be a horror movie. It's gonna be spooky AF.
Don't Breathe was basically almost a
Don't Breathe was a single location movie, essentially, yeah.
Get Out, almost a single location.
So was Get Out, yeah, because, I mean, horror is about claustrophobia. Horror is about a fear of not being able to escape something. And
Small budgets.
It's also about tiny budgets. I mean, you can make a lot. I mean, even think about something like the Blair Witch Project. That was essentially a single location film as well. I mean, they had that park and they just kind of ran around that park. You want people to feel. And God, the movie just came out. The Visitors. The Visit. What was the one where the people come to the house? The Strangers, right? Don't pray at night. That movie had 13,000 words in its title. But these movies are about our kind of our own fear of being attacked in a safe space, or someone turning a safe space into an unsafe space. So yes, I will be doing a single location film again, and thank you for that. Really cool. You guys are cool, man. You're a cool audience.
I think we got one more.
Hi.
Hi.
I have 2 things to say before my question.
Okay.
I love the talk.
Yay, thank you.
I started watching Archer, and then they took it off Netflix. So,
I know. Oh, that Archer's not on Netflix anymore.
Yep.
That's not my fault. Not my fault.
I know that. I know that.
I don't think it's Netflix's fault. I think it's this cop's fault who's driving by. I think what happened was that the show got sold into syndication, so they pulled it all back so it could run on TV. I know. I'm so sorry. I wish I had any control over it at all.
But my question. What's the most unexpected difference between hosting or co-hosting and acting?
Ooh, unexpected difference. Wow, I like you. This is the most thoughtful audience. You guys will be like, who's the better kisser, Ross or Joey?
Wait a second.
So wait a minute. Why did we not ask that?
Because everybody who's ever been on Friends, you actually didn't do this, comes on stage and goes, do not ask them about Friends.
I know. Oh, I don't care. I mean, I that was like it was a huge break for me. I'm always happy to talk about Friends. So, hosting, which is live and in the moment, you have to speak extemporaneously, seems like it would be the harder job. But what was great about the talk was we came in, we kind of hung out, ate breakfast together, talked about the topics, walked out on stage, chatted with my girlfriends for an hour, and walked off. So that was really an easy job. And I don't mean to be glib, like, that was easy, but it was just so fun. It felt really natural to me. And it was really enjoyable. Acting is a lot more work. It's just a lot more, you got to, we made the talk in an hour every day, and with Criminal Minds, I'm on set sometimes for 14 or 16 hours a day. But I love Criminal Minds. I directed my first episode of Criminal Minds this year, and I'll be doing that again. And I will say I love all of my jobs, and I feel very lucky to be as busy as I am. It's very unusual for an actor to be this busy, and I know that it's not going to always be this way, so I'm just trying to enjoy it and be grateful for it. I definitely don't walk away like, ooh, look at all my jobs. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, look at how many jobs I have. This is crazy. Because I remember very vividly living off of ramen noodles and watching Nickelodeon Jr. for hours on end during the day when I did not have any jobs at all. So, and the camaraderie is similar. I really loved the group of women on the talk. We really were close, and I still talk to them all the time. I just had dinner with Sarah the other day. But I'm really lucky because actors sometimes get a bad rep, but every single actor on Criminal Minds is a joy to be around, and I'm really lucky to have a cast like that. It's like a real family. And I was only supposed to do 6 episodes of Criminal Minds. AJ was having a baby, and I was just going to fill in for her while she was gone, and I just loved it, and they loved me, and I've been there for 3 years, so that was a really magical thing that happened. Yeah, I'm really happy about that. Thank you.
Congratulations on the movie.
It's
on
it's
Archer,
everywhere. On iTunes and everything,
Minds.
all those things. Yeah.
But this is everywhere?
This is everywhere. iTunes,
Everywhere.
Amazon, On Demand, Vudu, Fandango. I don't know.
You are everywhere too. Criminal Minds, Access, Archer, everything.
Whose Line Is It Anyways? Back this summer.
Yes.
And season 9 Archer, April 25th. I think that's all the things I'm doing.
I think that's good. Yeah.
I'm a grubby bastard, aren't I?
Aisha Tyler, everybody. Let's hear it.